Matt, if you don't mind, could you start off by telling us a bit about your background, where you're from, where you've been, what you've done?
Yeah, sure, sure. So I'm a local lad from the west coast of Scotland, about 40 minutes west of Glasgow. And from a young age, I've always been passionate about the outdoors and going out up climbing hills and the mountains and doing daft things as a wee boy. When I was 18, I joined the military. I was in the military for 22 years. I started off, I joined in 1994, was a physical training instructor, specialised in like communications, and then passed airborne selection, served with the Paras, then went on to serve with the Royal Marines, done commando training, and really loved seeing myself off and sucker for punishment, and went special forces for 6 years. And during the time in the military, I served Bosnia, Macedonia, Kosovo, Sierra Leone, 2 tours of Afghanistan, and a tour of Iraq. And while I was kind of doing all of that, I was taking expeditions around the world, and I was really enjoyed taking people outside their comfort zone and doing some punchy things. So, come to the end of my career in 2016, married, the young family. I now have 4 kids, all under 12, so it's quite a busy wee household, and juggling a lot of balls, juggling a lot of balls, spinning a lot of plates. And when I left, I wanted to continue doing what I was doing, and I set up my first company was Primal Bushcraft and Survival, and that was really about helping veterans reconnect outdoors, getting outside into nature. I lost a lot of friends in the military, and um, we probably know or we all know of someone through kind of lockdown, through mental health. We've maybe lost someone that we love or close to, and so it's kind of really been brushed under the carpet. So I wanted to help people as much as I could. So that allowed me to do that and bring my skills to the party with the kind of outdoor piece. And I learned. I spent quite a bit of money on my resettlement on kind of coaching and mental health. So that was really grounding, but it was quite a hard sell because I found some people weren't really wanting to commit. You could take the horse to water, but it wasn't for everyone. But we were still passionate about what we were doing, and that grew into kind of corporate kind of incentive team building in the outdoors, doing food, fire, water, shelter, safety, kind of Highland games, how our Highland ancestors survived, the kind of Jacobites and all that stuff. Um, and that kind of grew arms and legs. So we found that the primal bushcraft model wasn't quite fitting, so we changed it to Primal Adventures, and that's been going since 2014. So that's kind of worked quite well. Um, so we've been doing that now. We do events all over Scotland, and the reason I've just kind of kept it in Scotland was my wife turned to me and says, "Why did you leave the military?" And I said, "Well, it's because I wanted to spend more time with you and the kids." And she's like, "Well, you're not doing that. You're still going out all around the world, so and doing crazy stuff." So I've kind of keep it in Scotland. Um, so while I was doing that, I started getting quite a lot of requests to do kind of endurance events where people wanted to push themselves but still wanted a bit of comfort, an element of kind of luxury, let's say, but still, whether it's running up a Munro, running beautiful scenery and landscape of Scotland. So I started packaging more of them together, and then that gave us an idea of doing Highland Kings, which is the world's most exclusive ultra race. And we've been doing that. We're going into our third year now, and it's a 4-day event, 120 miles over 4 days in the heart of Glencoe. And people like the idea of pushing themselves, and there's something like 180,000 of ultra races around the world and over nearly 1 million ultra runners. And so, everybody wants something different, and people get to a point in their kind of career or their stage in their life where they still want to push themselves physically, mentally, kind of emotionally as well when you're doing an endurance event, but they don't want to rough it. They want a good night's sleep. They want good food. They want to maybe have a massage at the end of the day. And they just kind of want to be looked after. But the next day, they still want to go out and push themselves. So Highland Kings allows them to do that. And it's quite an exciting model. And within that, we have a challenge day where anyone can come along, raise money for charity, and do a 30 miler on the last day. But being ex-veteran, I've kind of pushed it more to kind of service personnel and veterans to come along into the team, and that's the kind of give back piece, because it is an expensive race. I'm not going to lie, but you kind it's the values there. You get what you pay for, and if you go for the high end package, you're working with like the Porsche Human Performance Centre, and you're getting all your biometrics done and things like that. So Highland Kings is quite a big beast, but it's that kind of endurance part. It's it's in Scotland, and it's about giving back as well. And then just to see myself off even more, I still really miss that expedition part. I really love the history of the kind of military and what our veterans have achieved during World War II. And while I was in the military, a lot of my expeditions were kind of based around about that. So I formed SOE expeditions, which is Special Operations Executive, and they were men and women, ordinary men and women, who had specialist skills, and they were trained in Scotland, in the Highlands of Scotland, to sabotage, subterfuge, recruit resistance fighters and partisans, blow up trains and railway lines and factories, and just generally cause havoc. And Churchill famously quoted them to go and set Europe ablaze, and that's effectively what they've done. So the heroes of Telemark in Norway, we now run expeditions in Norway, Crete, Italy, France, Serbia, and we're going to Malaya or Malaysia quite soon. And a lot of these men and women were just kind of unsung heroes. A lot of people don't know about them because it's that kind of secret kind of MI6 back in the day James Bond type scenario. But they really did change the course of the war, and it's really nice to go out and kind of raise funds for charity and give back on that piece as well. So the expeditions range from 7 days to sometimes 2 weeks, depending on what they are. And right now, a lot of them are falling on like 80th anniversaries, which is quite nice. And we're working with kind of local communities in different parts of the world, and it allows their veteran community to kind of express about what they've done, and families to get involved as well. And there's actually quite a big movement in America as well. I've got an American ambassador, Mitch Utterback, who's an ex Special Forces Lieutenant Colonel, retired Green Berets. He's came on a few trips. We're off to Greece to do Operation. Is it Operation? No, it's not Operation Hiles in Serbia. I'll come back to it. I forget the name of it. But it's some really, really cool expeds. So all of that, keeps me really busy. When you asked me to do a chat on motivation, I was like, somebody needs to be giving me a chat on motivation with all the things I've got on and a young family. But I think it's, if you just stop and take stock and kind of, I'm happy to chat a bit more about this. Just look how far you've come. It's quite easy to get distracted in what's going on. So I think, I've got enough on my plate to keep me going, but I think it's that passion and that enthusiasm is key, no matter what you're doing. So yeah, that's a little bit of me. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Matt. Plenty for us to discuss around motivation. 4 kids under 12 sounds like the most terrifying part of your life thus far. Just before we get into the nitty-gritty of motivation, I'm just conscious that you're sitting here in front of an audience who specialise in Scottish exports. Have you tried engaging with overseas markets in relation to your 3 companies?
Just through Global Scot, and when I first launched Highland Kings, because it came out as the world's most expensive ultra race. It's not now, but it kind of was at the time. And I got 500 million hits around the world. There was a lot of interest, and we knocked the Dalai Lama and Harry Potter off the first spot in the BBC News kind of thing. But the military doesn't teach you business, so I'm always learning and developing my skills. So any additional help, I'm always welcome to receive it. I've got a small team, and so when you are kind of creating these big beasts, it's going to take time, obviously. So I think Global Scot's a great community, and I've already had a chat with some of the people on here already. But yeah, it's just getting out there best I can.
Excellent. So listen, you've been the soldier, you've been the entrepreneur, I know in previous conversations you don't like to identify as an athlete, but anyone who does these endurance events is surely an athlete. So can you describe what part motivation has played in these parts of your career, and what motivation looks like to you?
Yeah, I mean, from a young age, you do things because you're passionate, and it's just part of life. You just go and do it. But then in the military, it is really pain or pleasure, and it's that stick and carrot method. And you know, people would always say to me, "Oh, you must be dead disciplined. Like when you're in the military, you must be really." Like, well, you have to be, because if you don't, you're going to either go to jail, or you're going to get your wages docked, or you're going to get in trouble. And it's not until you sit back and actually think about it that the fear has actually been the factor for like half my life anyway. Because if you didn't do it, you'd get in trouble basically. And so it's a total kind of stick method. There was a program a few years back about the carrot and stick method, and there was two teams. I don't know if some of you have seen it. And basically, the stick team got all their hair shaved, and they just got beasted every day. Even if they won, they still got beasted. And the carrot team, even if they lost, they still got rewarded. And it turns out um, that the stick team won, that they were all miserable, and they weren't very happy. And the carrot team, they were disappointed, but they were still happy because they never lost. So it's important to have that balance. And looking back at my military career, I found that I did enjoy it because I was good at it. And so I think it's important to enjoy the journey and not the kind of process at the end, because we kind of get caught up with, I'm going to do this because I'm going to get this outcome. And I was actually looking into it a bit more, and there's a great neuroscientist, Andrew Huberman, who works at Stanford, and he's chatted loads on this subject. And basically, he took kids at Stanford, and kids who like to draw, and they started rewarding them with gold stars or sweeties or whatever. And then they took the reward away, and lo and behold, they didn't enjoy drawing as much, and they've seen a massive decline. And he says basically for motivation, what you should be doing, and I've never really thought of this, but it kind of makes sense, is whatever you're doing, don't look for the reward at the end. Actually enjoy the process and enjoy the journey of what you're doing. And I think we get too caught up in that. It's initially the finding the motivation to do something, but then at the end of it, it's like, oh, I'm going to get this reward. But actually, you should just enjoy the process. And there's lots more around that. But I found that really interesting. So I'm not going to give my kids sweeties anymore. I'm just going to give them, just tell them they need to enjoy it. It's easy done, yeah.
Good
So anyway,
stuff.
that was a bit on my kind of military career, and it really was stick and carrot method. And also the reward for that was you would get a badge at the end of the day. You'd get your wings, or you'd get a dagger or something like that, and it was like, hey, look at me, I'll get this dagger. So it's that kind of almost like self gratification, like the kind of ego, feeding the ego, and look at me. But you're also part of something. You're part of that kind of cult. Not cult, my goodness, it's the wrong word. Culture, sorry. You're part of that environment of guys who are maybe at a higher level, and they get better equipment and they get better wages. And so there is that motivation to kind of climb that ladder. It's the same in the workplace. But there's always a little bit of pain to get there. And I think today's culture and society, we're very comfortable, aren't we? And we don't really like pain, because there's so much out there that we don't really need to push ourselves or be uncomfortable if we don't want to.
So, getting a bit more technical now, you and I have discussed previously the work of the author Dan Pinker, and he reckons there are three intrinsic motivators. So there's autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Does that resonate with you at all?
Yeah, it does. Two of them certainly do. I think he was talking about autonomy and self-governing yourself, and we're having a nice workplace where you can get to just get the work cracked whenever you can, and so long as you deliver the goods, that's great. But majority of people don't work in an environment where that's an option. It's like, no, you're 9 to 5, you get it done, and or if you're working from home, that's great. You can do that so long as you get the work done. But majority of people, I think, are and they're now talking about bringing people back to the office as well. So that might get lost to a certain degree. But So yeah, no, I do agree with that. If you give people their own kind of freedom to get things done, they are more motivated to get it cracked rather than having that kind of stick method. The motivation piece will lift you at motivation, and what was the other one? Was it purpose or passion? I can't remember.
Purpose, yeah. Purpose, mastery,
Yeah.
autonomy.
Yeah, so if you have the purpose and the motivation, they can always go hand in hand, because you want to do it, because you're passionate about it, and you got that purpose, and you got the end result. So for me, they two go kind of hand in hand. I was never really in an environment where I had that kind of autonomy. But I think it's great if you are in a workplace, and if you're not, then make a change. I know that's easy to say that, but I believe that we've all got skills and we've all got a gift, and there's something we're good at that we maybe do in our spare time, and maybe have a wee side hustle and work at it while you still, have got your main job, and then can I just slowly make that transition when you feel the time's right. But again, it's never going to be perfect, and there is going to be an element of fear. But it's only that's how we grow, isn't it? Is by stepping out your comfort zone and being uncomfortable, and you're learning by your mistakes. And again, when it comes to mistakes, it's actually what you've done wrong to then correct it and make it into a positive. And I've done a lot of that since leaving the military. It's been a hard journey because, like I said, the military don't really teach you about business. So you come to the party with your skill set, and as long as you're passionate about it and you're driven, then you'll get there. So going back to your question about autonomy and purpose and motivation, yeah, I do agree with it. But the kind of the autonomy part, I've been doing that now for myself because I've got my own business and I can do that. But I think it'd be a little bit harder for some people in the workplace, and that's where the frustration might come, is because they can't, they want to do something different. But that's what I'm saying. You should maybe start if you can start making inroads, or find that whatever that is that gives you that motivation and that purpose to go and do it. But again, it's like, oh, people think, and I don't know if I'll be ready, or you're never going to be ready, and it's never going to be 100%. But you just need to do it anyway, because it's never going to be perfect. Even now, with my 3 businesses, I'm still testing and adjusting, and they never will be perfect, and that's good, and that's okay. So
Excellent.
yeah.
I suppose you have you've kind of answered there my last question, but maybe we could kind of bring together some of the suggestions you've made. You are sitting in front of an audience who are office workers essentially. So maybe latterly a lot of us have been based at home, but we're still sitting in front of computers nonetheless. And some of us might struggle to find things like autonomy or mastery or purpose in a professional context. We're lucky enough to have a phenomenal team of managers here. So you met one, Michelle, at the start, who does put a lot of emphasis on these areas, especially autonomy. But do you have suggestions for the audience here today as to how they could develop and strengthen their sense of motivation in a day-to-day office-based role?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's got, like I said, it goes back to what I said earlier. Everyone's got a skill or a passion and a skill, and I think it's about finding that, and then if you can apply it into your day-to-day working environment or your day-to-day life, if that's not a thing, then you need to find other things that are going to motivate you. You know, fitness is a great one. Everyone talks about fitness. Everyone's probably sick of the back teeth of hearing about it. Fitness, but I mean, if I was to say to all the audience now, right, folks, you're going to be on TV in 6 months' time. You're going to be on Love Island or a survival show or whatever, and there was no option. You all had to do it. Then people will be motivated to probably either go and get fit or do something different, or and where does that come from? Where is that motivation coming from? Well, it's probably a little bit of fear. It's a little bit of, oh, I'm going to be on TV. People are going to see me. And then another one is, all right, so I'm 47. Yeah, I know I don't look it, all right, but a few greys there. But let's just say I'm going to live to 90, okay? I think what's the average age people live to? 80 or something like that, 90, I don't know. So I worked it out. It's something like over 2,000 just over 2,000 weekends of life I've got left, right? And that's like, that's not really a lot if you think about it when you say it like that. So, it's a bit scary and there's a bit more fear there, and it motivates me to do something different. I'm busy enough as it is, and I don't really want to do different. But the point I'm making is, if you just sit down and work it, you go, well, actually, that's quite a good wee top tip. Maybe I'm not happy in this job, or I wanted to make a change, but maybe that'll give you the kick up the backside to do something different. It's not, and if you actually write that down and look at it, you go, oh my, I need to actually sort myself out here. So fear is a great motivator. So I would encourage you just to use a little bit of fear just to get yourself going, get yourself just to give you that wee push. But don't use it as a tool to keep you going, because it's not healthy. Just then you need that passion or that end goal to get you there, and then pull you towards it. And then you hopefully get the motivation along the way, and people will come into your life and doors will open and things will happen. And it's like the mind body connection, it's like the placebo effect. It's it does work. I'm living proof that it does work. And so I suppose, I don't know if I actually answered your question there. I've just gone off on a tangent about fulfillment, I suppose. But it's a hard one in an office, because even in the military, it was only till the end of my career I was working in an office, and I was like, I was like a caged animal, so that's why I had to leave, or else I'd probably still be in. But I think you just got to find whatever it is that your skill is, or your passion is. And if it's not working in an office, then maybe make a change. And if it is something that you enjoy doing, then I suppose, hobbies or something else. It's like, these are all like, we're all grown adults. You just kind of, what it is that makes you tick. I don't really have any magic pill or, golden nugget to pass you about that. But I think within yourself, if you can just give yourself a little bit of a kick up the backside and sit down and look, go, right, what is it I'm good at? I'm only going to live so long. I need a bit of a push here. I want to step off in a different direction, or I don't. I'm actually quite happy. I'm going to be on TV 6 months, a year time. Maybe I want to go to the gym. Maybe I have, have a different relationship, or do something different, or whatever it is, or lose weight. It is hard, and I suppose that's part of life, isn't it? It's the journey was easy. Everyone would be doing it. It's I think it's important to be a wee bit uncomfortable now and again. But yeah, I hope that's can answer the question a wee bit. I don't know.